say a few things before we go into this. Thanks everybody for coming. We usually do not have this big of a crowd, so it's nice to see people are interested. And if you haven't been here before, I kind of need to let you know how our meetings are ran. This isn't really a question and answer period. We're here to work. So we have a lot of business to do tonight, and this is our time to be presented with facts that we can make decisions on according to our agendas. So our board meetings can run late, so we try to move them along as quickly as possible. That being said, we do abide by the open meeting laws of the state of Utah. Our sessions are open to the public unless it's closed, and we will vote that way to close the session. But the entire meeting is not open for public comment. We will have a public comment time now, because we do like to hear the community concerns and praises for what we do. So we've allowed a short time for public comment tonight. I'd encourage you to keep your comments short, productive, and to the point. And then we'll close the public comment period. And then from there on, the rest of the meeting, we will not allow public comment. I'd like to limit you to 5 minutes apiece, and maybe 35, 40 minutes of public comment if we have that much. If we have some extra time, maybe if you didn't get said what you want to say, maybe another little bit. Some things we can comment on, and some things we cannot comment on. We cannot comment on any personnel issues that are internal that may affect their personnel record. We cannot release any information about that. I don't think we should comment on any currently or formerly employed personnel. We do not comment on anything that's been discussed in a closed session with the board. We will not comment on anything that we've been advised by an attorney not to comment on. Things we can talk about are finances, our financial situation, comments relating to the services we offer the board, our role as a board, organization as a whole. I do not want any public attacks on any members of the board or our staff. I want to state that now. If I feel the comments heading that way, I'll ask you to please end your comment at that point. So if you raise your hand, I'll call on you. I'll open public comment now. Please state your name. Step up where we can hear you. And go from there.
Excuse me, you just told us we can't say anything pretty much. So what, who's going to stand up?
Well, we're bound to not release anything that we discussed in the closed session.
No, you just told us we can't say, address.
I don't think that that's what he said at all. And if you have a comment, you may as well go ahead and comment. Yeah. And if we can't discuss it, then we simply won't.
Sure.
Somebody should probably go first because, and maybe I'll say something in a minute.
Looks like you're up.
I'm up? Oh dear. I do have a question on a report that was received, Bonnie DeRozier, Monticello, regarding the operating of the hospital, how it could be rectified, and I don't know whether you can comment on it or not. Can we get any specifics on that?
Can you be more specific about what you mean?
I don't know the company you employed to make the recent study on the hospital.
We didn't employ
it was a report that would have been received recently.
Actually, we're going to review that later tonight, and we have not had a chance to do that as a body.
Okay.
We've been given it as homework, but not discussed.
Yeah, and you may be referring to a report that Cerner, which is the provider of our medical records, our electronic medical records system, did for us relative to billing.
Because I'm sorry, I left half of my notes at home. And that's bad. I usually come very prepared when I do come to one of these meetings. But Burton, if you say that you're probably addressing it later on, I will wait for that. But then we're not allowed to say anything then. So,
Well, it's just not conducted to the.
exactly.
meeting.
I understand that.
Sorry, it's,
I understand.
Yeah.
But I have talked to one thing that does.
We're not antagonistic, so you can actually.
Well,
I don't think that
No,
that's what he
it's-
said at all. And if you have a comment, you may as well go ahead and comment. And if we can't discuss it, then we simply won't.
Sure.
of San Juan County Hospital, you lose your job.
I personally wouldn't care to talk about what's happened. And you're speculating, and if you'll let us do our jobs, we may very well find doctors to replace.
Yes, but you don't have the right to videotape. Because the public is an open meeting, but you don't have the right to videotape. Monty, I don't believe you have the right to record that, so I don't want you to record it electronically, and I don't want you to record it audio.
I can be, so that's why I debated. But I was faced with this quite a few years ago when I was an employee for the hospital. So I know what can go on. And I know what happens to employees who, even when they have proof, because I worked in medical records, when you go against the established hierarchy of San Juan County Hospital, you lose your job.
Watch this instant replay of Board Member Steve Simpson trying to get Chairman Barry to shut Mr. Rozier off when she starts talking about the hospital hierarchy. As you can see, Mr. Simpson makes a motion with his right hand across his throat, indicating to Chairman Barry to cut Mr. Rozier off from speaking.
And so people that I have talked to, not necessarily employees, though some of them are, they won't say anything because they're afraid they're going to lose their jobs. But they're also afraid they're going to show up one day and there's not going to be a job because this is a quickly sinking ship.
Well, I would say that that's something that that we're bailing mightily, and we don't think it will sink. We think we can salvage it. Certainly we have many problems. I personally wouldn't care to talk about what's happened in the past. Relative
No,
to
but I'm
personnel
just,
issues.
I understand that. And that the only reason I brought it up is because I've been there and I know what happens and why people won't talk.
Well,
That's the only reason I brought it up.
Well, I've had one employee be very open with me this week.
That's good.
They're still employed.
Well, I hope they still will be, but everybody that I talked to said, please do not mention my name. So,
Well,
okay.
and there's several people in this room that have come to me privately.
Okay.
And, you know, I appreciate it. I listen. Sometimes it's kind of like Garfield and that cartoon, you know, where somebody's going from his tail to his head and rubs me the wrong way. But I like to listen to people, and I tell them that. A lot of people say, don't reveal who I am, or don't
Right.
quote me on this. And I try to protect that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing.
Because
But
if for one thing, if you burn them, then they won't talk to you the next
ever
time.
again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
And I can appreciate that. And that's exactly why I'm not naming any names, because I promised them I wouldn't. But it's, like I said, employees now, and former employees, patients, and you already said no patient care, so I'll leave that out. But we're not going to have a hospital. We already are down 3 doctors. What doctor in their right mind is going to ever come here now? I don't care how quickly their student loans get paid off. There's plenty of other smaller hospitals that they can go to.
ma'am, you're speculating, and if you'll let us do our jobs, we may very well find doctors to replace the ones that we are losing.
You need to, you need to protect the doctors we already have.
The doctors
That's
that
what
we
you need
have
to
have
do.
chosen to leave for whatever the reason, and that's their choice. That's not our choice.
I'm going to interject there and say that largely what she's talking about is one of the reasons I'm leaving.
Well, and like I said, this isn't going to be a debate because we've been accused of debating public comment before. for in the press. And people should feel free to express your opinion. We feel like we want to defend ourselves, but you know what? That's not the position here that we should take. You should, you know, right? And I think your time's up too.
If I'm going to be the only one talking, though, I get 35
Well,
minutes, right?
No, you get 5
That's
minutes.
right. Yeah.
Yes, Isabel Ray, Monticello. Are you members of the board actually going to acknowledge that there is a personnel problem at the hospital? Are you going to take the bull by the horns and remark that there are all sorts of problems that have been there for a very long time? We've actually come to this point where you're losing 3 doctors. Are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to change things so that you might be able to entice some doctors here, and maybe they'll last for a year, maybe they'll last for 2. But then the same thing that's happened over and over again is going to happen again. You'll be saying, why are we losing our doctors? Why can't we keep them? Are you going to investigate this properly or not? That's my question, that's my comment.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the answer to your question is yes, we are addressing the issues. The issues are fairly large and fairly complex. And I suspect it will take some time to get to the root of them, but we are hoping to clear the air and have a and start with a new slate.
I have a comment. I'm Diana Black from Monticello. I want to thank the board. You guys have been putting in long hours and lots of worry and stress. You've talked to many people. I don't know all the problems, but I know that you guys are aware of them and you're doing your best to take care of them. You've been bashed and criticized publicly. I want to say thank you publicly because I feel like you guys are working hard. Like Steve says, it's deep and you're working on it. You're working on fixing things. I'm sorry we're losing Dr. Reay. I think he's a great doctor, but I think the board is working to remedy the problem. And for the most part, they don't get paid very much to do what they're doing, and they have been through hell and back. So, thank you.
I'd like to make a comment if I could. What?
Tell us who.
Oh,
I know.
oh, come on.
For the record.
For the record, this is Donna Seeger. And I do represent both Blue Mountain and UNHS. I have stepped down as the CEO, just to let you all know that, if you all do know that. But I am still on contract with them for consultation and representation. And I am a board member with Blue Mountain Hospital, so you understand the background. But I just want you to know that I worked with San Juan Hospital for 18 years. And it's my hospital too. Just so you all know that's how I feel. And I just want you to know that Utah Navajo Health System and Blue Mountain Hospital are more than willing to work together in whatever capacity we can to provide a countywide healthcare system. And we need to learn from the past and move forward with what we've learned. And we need to do it collaboratively. San Juan County starts with Moab and it ends at the Arizona border. And if we can expand our vision to look at San Juan County in that way, there's no reason that we can't have high quality health care everywhere. And I just want you to know that was my instructions to represent that to the board and let you know that that's the way we feel. That's the way we're willing to work. And there are some positive ideas that are sprouting among conversations that could certainly be a source of ideas for actions and things that we can do to help the whole county have better health care. Thank you.
Next step.
We had a big change this morning, election, third election in as many months for chief of medical staff, which was probably largely brought about by the board, which we've been over and I won't belabor that point. They elected me again to kind of press the board on. and I resigned, and Dr. Johnson was elected chief of medical staff. I read this morning some of the duties of the chief of medical staff, and one of them I think is pertinent to some of the voices that you've heard today. It says the chief is to represent the views, policies, needs, and grievances of the medical staff and government board. And I think there was some thought here that I should do that. As I have done now, I think there's been some getting involved in it. I've been doing this through the years, and I have heard a lot from the medical staff, and that's a great deal. I hope that in the future you guys will be sensitive to that role that the chief has. Because he's going to hear things, he's going to be told things that in many cases people were afraid to say and saying that thing they wanted to remain anonymous. And it's one of those things that listen to, I think, some of the flyers that we put out before they're started. So I just want to encourage you to allow whoever becomes chief and remains chief or is chief in the future to have access to you for those kinds of things. I think we're all a little concerned about, the doctors leaving. We love our patients. I'm concerned. I need to speak for myself that way. I'm concerned about my colleagues. I did offer in my letter of resignation to come back and help. I've not heard anything back from me, but I talked to her a little bit about that during staff being this morning. It's still not quite clear where I stand with that, but I have offered to come back and help. I'm going to need an answer on that pretty soon as to what you want to do. I don't know if you guys have thought about that or talked about that.
We haven't had a chance to talk about it.
You offered and Dr. Peterson's offered too. We want to make sure that you guys can function if it's possible. Continue to function without three places coming up. You need us to.
Is that part of our discussion on closed session?
Well, physician contracts. Yeah.
Anything else? Just other minor changes. I think there's nothing else that we like to stop.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Reay, for all your service. And we hate to lose him. And I mean that sincerely.
We're certainly signing that goal.
And thank you for the time you put on the board. It's been tough stuff.